Hello children. Today we're out in this sandy area near the edge of the water in search of many different kinds of insects, including this beautiful Dasymatilla biaculata, which is a kind of velvet ant. Velvet ants are not actually ants at all, but a kind of wasp that are very closely related to spider wasps. Males have wings, but females like this do not. This right here is Stichopogon trifasciatus, a very common species of robberfly to come across in the sandy areas along the edge of the water like this. They'll perch right on the sand or on rocks, where their pale gray coloration on the top blends right in. Underneath those tucked wings though, there's a very striking banding pattern on the abdomen, very contrasting black and white areas. These three distinct shaded areas on the abdomen is where the name trifasciatus, or the common name three-banded robberfly, comes from. Believe it or not, this individual is slightly on the larger side for this species. This right here was my first time ever seeing this beautiful species up close like this. This is the hieroglyphic cicada, named for the beautifully intricate patterning on both the wings, the thorax, and the head. All those black spots on it, and that distinctive pale green color mixed with the tan, makes the species unmistakable. This is a male, as you could probably tell by the sounds it was making as I was holding him. Tiger beetles are a very common group in this kind of habitat. Very common to see them running along the wet sand. This one in particular though stuck out. This was my lifer S-banded tiger beetle, named for that S-like pattern on each elytra. Besides that very distinct white S, this is very similar to the much more common, in where I live at least, punctured tiger beetle. Knowing how common those are here, I actually mistook this for one before I caught it and got it in hand. Really happy about this find. Despite how huge and sharp the mandibles of tiger beetles look, the bite actually feels like absolutely nothing. If I didn't distinctly see this tiger beetle biting me right now, I wouldn't have even known. It just feels like part of the legs moving or something. Quite underwhelming, to be honest. This tiger beetle right here is also my lifer. This is a mustache tiger beetle. These guys prefer whiter sand, and it shows in their almost perfect camouflage. I kept losing this one and had to shuffle through to get it to fly out, and then keep track of where it landed. This right here though is exactly what I was in this kind of habitat here to look for.
This right down here is my lifer, smaller sand cricket. Now despite these guys' name as the smaller sand cricket, and despite their presence in a family known as lesser mole crickets, these guys are neither true crickets nor mole crickets, but are actually close relatives to the grasshoppers. Now even though these guys are very distantly related to mole crickets, the name pygmy mole crickets still makes sense, because if you look at the way that they move around a lot like mole crickets, and they even have those same kind of modified front legs for digging and moving through the soil as mole crickets do. But everything else about them is basically completely different. And it's so cool looking at them dig like that. Disappears into the soil like nothing. Check this out. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. There's probably a lot more of these guys. I could just scare them out. Super easy. Look. Oh, one is on me. Look, all you have to do is just rub this grass right here, and these are everywhere. This is just crazy that I've never seen this species before, because they're literally everywhere. Interesting way to get a lifer. There are so many of these lesser sand crickets around. Check this out, there's one right here. Just look how tiny they are. This is a full-grown lesser sand cricket right next to my nail. Just tiny little creatures.
The way they crawl around on the floor is like the complete opposite that I'd expect from a grasshopper-like creature like this. I don't know why, but for some reason to me they just look really awkward when they're walking. While Elapis minuta is the only species that I saw at this location, now that I know exactly what kind of areas to look for these guys at, there's a bunch more different species that live in Florida that I'm really hoping to go out and get on my life list soon. While they all relatively have the same body plan, they come in so many different colors. So I'd be very interested to show you guys some more species if I could find them.